fact that unfair punishment for an administrative violation such as driving a vehicle without a required license that says a person has permission to drive or operate a motor vehicle upon the roadway. It was not intended to be used for identification purposes. However, it has become a commonly accepted document. Although there's a better document available, however, it's commonly accepted, but it is not an ID for identification purposes. It is an official document from the state saying that you have permission to drive a vehicle on their roadway. So, within that eminent domain, you have their permission to drive the property that you registered with them in their eminent domain. And failing to adhere to these requirements can have specific consequences for the administrative violation as a punishment that just doesn't fit the crime. And it's the disproportionate consequences as well. See, these are just minor administrative violations, and such as not paying a fine associated with a traffic stop can ultimately lead to serious consequences and even jail time. They extend these punishment and these penalties for as long as they can, because it's like when the system gets their claws in your back, they will never let go. So you have this forced compliance that just feels like a servitude, 13th Amendment violation if you knew anything. But the system requiring a payment for an administrative fines and even a payment for an enjoyment of a right that was converted to a privilege without the individual's full informed consent. But these types of requirements for payments and administrative enjoyments can be seen as a forced compliance and an unlawful taking, especially when the individual can't afford to pay. They're subjected to penalties like the harsh times of England and the Black Plague and the dungeon for administrative violations for driving with a suspended license. So the impact of this type of punishment is often a result of routine traffic stops leading to severe outcomes. A simple traffic stop, such as being pulled over for supposedly malfunctioning tag light, can escalate quickly. They're always looking for escalation signs or warning signs, like the high mileage on your vehicle. They walk up to your car and they see you have a high mileage or empty gas tank. They're like, oh yeah, this motherfucker's broke. He's a criminal. He ain't got no life. I know he's out here up to nothing. Automatically profiling you, which is in a sense a discriminatory tactic. But never mind these things. We move on past the simple traffic stop as you get pulled over for the tag light, as I said. And if the driver cannot provide the required documentations in that jurisdiction, they can be arrested and face significant jail time. And the impact of incarceration. Nonviolent individuals who are incarcerated for an administrative violation may endure traumatic experiences. Upon release, they carry the psychological burden of their time in a violent environment, which can have lasting effects. So, to capture my concern about the disproportionate impact of administrative laws and their harsh penalties for minor violations, and the broader and social psychological implications of the system's brutal treatment of the people they portray to help. When there's no help for you, it's for you to help them. But hey, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And the minute you set out to learn it to protect yourself so that you're not abused by the others seeking to use the law to take advantage of you and abuse you with it, you might find yourself questioning the legal foundation, struggling and trying to comprehend that struggle of that foundation and its framework and its structure, realizing that it's built on a shaky foundation. It is, in effect, a trade secret. It is, in effect, in its framework and structure, a trade secret, trademark. That is not disclosed outside of the legal network to those who do not have a license to engage in illegal practices, and in any event becomes as if they do not have the financial resources. They have no adequate means to obtain reasonable or necessary representation, not for only a criminal charge, But in the event you need to file a civil action against a government entity, you will not be able to obtain representation against the officer of the lawyer's court.